let's get right to KPIX5's Ann Makovic following from the live news desk. Ann?
Yeah, this has been a real legal shocker to a lot of people. Within the past half hour, prison officials confirmed that Bill Cosby has left. He is a free man as we speak. Taking a look above that Pennsylvania prison where Bill Cosby spent almost 3 years of a 3 to 10 year sentence until today when his sexual assault conviction was overturned by the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. Cosby is now 83 years old. He was convicted of sexually assaulting Andrea Constand at his home in 2004, but accused of drugging and raping dozens of women over several decades. Today's ruling boiling down to Cosby's Fifth Amendment rights when he was told he would not be prosecuted, testified in a civil suit, and was then prosecuted on that testimony. Today, the judge wrote that Cosby's convictions and judgment of sentence are vacated and he is discharged. Celebrities and legal experts weighing in on social media. His TV wife from the hit sitcom The Cosby Show speaking out in his defense. Felicia Rashad just tweeted, "Finally, a terrible wrong is being righted. A miscarriage of justice is corrected." And attorney Lisa Bloom, who represented some of Cosby's accusers, tweeted, "Every day I fight for sexual assault victims and have to advise them of the ugly truth. The system still massively favors the rich and powerful. You need a superhuman level of strength and courage. Luckily, many victims have it." She goes on to say, "Any other Cosby victims, time to come forward." Now, Helen Hayes is one of the women who did publicly accuse Cosby of drugging and raping her. She lives in Marin County, and our Kenny Choi is interviewing her right now. We are going to hear from her coming up more tonight on KPIX5 at 5 and 6. Back to you.
All right, Ann, thank you. And retired Bay Area Judge LaDoris Cordell joins us live now with some legal perspective on all of this. First, a lot of people surprised by this ruling. Did the ruling surprise you?
When I looked at the reason for the ruling, I was not surprised. 6 of the 7 Pennsylvania Supreme Court justices reversed the conviction of Bill Cosby, but not because they found that he was innocent. That had nothing to do with it. It was done because they determined that Bill Cosby had been deprived of a fair trial because his constitutional right against self-incrimination had been violated. So that's really what turned this case around. Again, nothing to do with the substance of whether or not he in fact engaged in these behaviors. So the court and wrote a 79-page decision, and the analysis of it starts at page 47. But I want to read you just one quick sentence from that decision. Here's what the court said. "We hold that when a prosecutor makes an unconditional promise of non-prosecution, and when the defendant relies upon that guarantee to the detriment of his constitutional right not to testify, the principle of fundamental fairness that undergirds due process of law in our criminal justice system demands that the promise be enforced." The DA in the case, Bruce Castor, had decided that he could not get a criminal conviction against Bill Cosby if he were to charge him with Andrea Constand as the victim, because she'd waited so long, in his opinion, to actually come forward. So what he did, he said, "Look, here's what I do. In order to bring her justice, I will make a deal with Bill Cosby that he will have to testify in depositions," and he did 4 times in 2005 and 2006, where he did incriminate himself. But the deal was whatever he said that would incriminate him would not result in criminal charges. That's the deal that was made. The Supreme Court said you have to hold to the deal. The DA that came afterwards said that's no deal.
And based on what we see happening now, do accusers have any other legal options, or is this pretty much it?
Well, Andrea Constand does not have any other legal option in the criminal case. She brought civil action, but that criminal case is done. Can a DA charge Bill Cosby? Yes, but cannot depend on anything he said in any of those depositions as evidence in the case.
All right, LaDoris Cordell, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your perspective.